is happening, everybody? So start with today, we're going to take this bone and we're going to be making a primitive axe for this frog guy. It's more of a barbarian type. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to size this down so it's the size of a femur for him. And then we're going to make it look like some wood's been lashed to it, as well as an actual stone axe blade. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to select the axe, and we're going to size this down a little bit. Except we want to do it from the other side because I'm going to mask. You know what we're going to do is we're going to size it just this way and shrink it down. There we go. Yeah, it looks about right. So I'm just trying to make it look like if this barbarian frogman had killed another frogman or a human, and it chose to use its femur for the handle of an axe. Now the catch is I need it to be big enough for 3D printing. So this part especially, in this one, want to make sure that it is going to be able to print. So we're also going to scale it up. So clicking on this and then holding Alt, because I like the length now, but we're just going to make it a little thicker all around. Okay. Okay, we're going to use the Move Infinite, and then Lasso Mask Brush. Mask that. I'm just going to pull this in a little bit. And this is pretty much what I did to make this bone. I made it from a cylinder, and then just using the snake hook tool. So B, S, H. I'll select the snake hook, or I have it hotkeyed, and I just pulled stuff and then dynameshed it multiple times to get that shape the way that I wanted. Scale that up. Okay, I think that looks good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hide everything else first of all. So come over here, shift click this eye, and that will hide the rest of the models, because we don't need them anymore for scaling this. So now I'm going to come over and click IMM primitives, and we're going to choose a cylinder. This is going to be the start of branch. Okay, so I've got multiple subdivision levels, so all we're going to do is delete lower. So now click and drag that out, and then using the transform brush, we're going to rotate this to where we want it. Okay, and we're going to want it to be about this thick, and we're going to have some overlap like it's been split and then lashed around that bone part. We'll scale this up and then hold Alt again to just make it thicker. Nice. Okay, that's going to work for our basic shape. Now we're going to use the snake hook, and we'll go ahead and activate Sculptress with this one. We're going to pull these sides down. We want some overlap. Just like that. And I mean, you can see that it's pretty straight, but it has a little bit of crookedness to it, and that works just fine for what we're trying to do. Actually want this to go just a little bit further. Okay, now we'll pull this out to thicken it up. Awesome. And as usual on my other screen, I have my reference up. So if I glance over, sometimes I'm checking to see if there's anything in the chat. Sometimes I'm just checking that reference. Alright, that'll work. And now we're going to do this, instead of doing the split up here, like all the way up and then setting something, we're just going to pull it up a little bit to get that visual. But, so I already know, this is where the heel of the hand is, and this is where the axe blade should be. So I'm going to want this split to be on either side, and an easy way to do that we'll actually do is we're going to use move infinite depth, but we're going to clear the mask, and then we're going to mask out this section right here where the split is, except I don't like that. So we're going to go to Dynamesh, so under geometry, Dynamesh, with this circle. So typically it's like this, click it off and have project. I'll scale this up to about there. And then I want it to keep groups. So if you look right now with wireframe on, we got 2 groups. And I want it to keep that way. That way I can easily select just the wood part or just the bone part. So we'll keep group selected. And then we'll click and drag. Now, got some more geometry to work with. So now we'll mask this out. Just like that. And now with move infinite depth, we're going to scale this up. So if you hold spacebar, you can just click and drag. It's become one of my new favorite methods to do it. And we're just going to drag that up. And that is going to be our slot for the stone axe blade. As far as the top part of it, we're going to set it in a little deeper just to make sure that we can get a solid watertight model out of it. And this indent is going to be just about to here. It's not going to be very big. So clear that mask out, Dynamesh one more time. And just for good measure, we still have Sculptress active. So we're going to clear out these thinned walls. Just like that. Okay. Now, let's add the axe blade. So this one, we're going to, again, go into IMM primitives, and we'll choose this sphere. And we're going to rotate it into place. So make sure we're in the center of it. Squish it. Using transform, rotate over. And just get it kind of lined up to where we want it. Which again, we're going to, that looks pretty good right there. Rotate this into place. And scale it just this, I don't want to scale it that way. So holding Alt, we're going to scale it the other way. Because I like how thick it is this way. For the most part, let's thicken it just a smidge to the safe side. And then the cool part, because it's using the bone, is we got these 2 protrusions at the bottom of the femur bone. So we can use that to correct the line of the blade so that we have good indexing. There's a bit of blade anatomy for the day. So that way the blade is going to be lined up with the hand. It's going to make it a lot easier. Okay, so now that we have that in place, we're going to slide it down into its slot. Again, with just a minor overlap. Good. And now we'll do the fun part using infinite depth. And FYI, this is just one way to do it. There's more than one way to make the shape. you can use hold control, click up here in the masking. You could do mask project, mask extrude. Okay, the mask extrude. There's other ways to do it. Okay, this is just how I am choosing to do it for this one. So, and now as best we can, we're going to rotate to its side. And let's take a look at the shape that we're going to do for this. So the axe in the reference image I have kind of has a flint looking axe blade, but it almost has a bearded axe look too. So that is what we're going to go with. Okay, so we're going to pull that out, pull it down. We're just getting our basic shape in there is all. Okay. And then I want, you know what, we're going to do a small axe on this back side, but it's going to go more to a point. So it's going to go to a point, and then this is going to be fragmented. Okay, just like that. I like that shape. So that quickly, we got our axe blade basically shaped in. We're going to clear the mask, Dynamesh one more time with that on there. And you can see that because we were working with lower geometry, we already kind of have these indications of where we can have some of our faces and pieces. Alright, so that's going to work in our favor. Okay, so let's finish shaping this out. Again, I want kind of a beard coming down to it. We'll put, yeah, I like that right there. Bring this point to here, we'll curve this in. Awesome. Okay, now we'll work on the rest of the silhouette. So if we look at the silhouette right here, a really nice basic silhouette, and we don't want to go crazy with how detailed we make it. You know, this axe is going to be that big. It's going to be super small, so that means the blade's going to be even smaller. So we really don't want to go crazy with the details and edges with it, because it's just not going to show. Alright, so we still want some good silhouette with it, so I'm going to take, let's go ahead and let's do the snake hook. Okay, so we're going to take snake hook, we're going to turn off sculptures because we have plenty of geometry as it is. Size this down because we're just going to make these subtle indications of where it's at. I don't like that. So instead, I don't like the way that's looking. So Control Shift, click up here. We're going to use, let's use knife lasso. We're going to use knife lasso, and we're going to cut right here. Except we need to go the other way. Now we have that. And we're going to come down and we're going to go like that. Alright. That looks much better. Okay, same thing on this side. So we need to go. So the weird thing with the knife lasso tool is it's like it's in a circle of the whole screen. So if I want to cut this out, I want to go left to right. If I want to cut the bottom out, I want to go right to left. So you might have to do and redo it a couple times if you end up going the wrong direction. I forget half the time. Just kind of the name of the game. So, moving forward, I'm going to take this, big cut there, and big cut, a little bit bigger, big cut here. Okay, I'm really liking that silhouette. I think that's really nice. Just move this to here. Okay, now we're going to do smooth around the whole thing. And even though this would have, let me pull up an example for you. Flint axe. Perfect. Let's see, open image, new. window. There we go. Okay, so if you look at this axe right here, this would have a much finer edge, obviously. It would be more oval. It has these different faces to it. We are going to be doing this cord wrapping, by the way. But because of it being so small, we don't want to go this fine with it. It's going to cause problems with printing as far as being strong. Okay, there's a really high chance that it's going to break or not print at all, melt. The other reason is, as far as painting, it is going to be a pain. So we want this to be a little rounded, but enough to infer to the end user or the end painter that it is an edge. So close that. So looking at it right here, this edge right here is really nice. So we're going to control click, that way we only have the axe selected. Now the cool part too about the knife lasso is it creates new groups with this. Okay, so we're going to, in this case it's not going to help us, but if you were doing it for tears in cloth, it makes it really easy to edit. So we're going to go ahead and mask all of this. Control W to make it a new group. Okay, there we go. So again, control click with the gizmo selected. So R, control click. Now we just have this group selected. Control I, and then we're going to go up to here to geometry, and we're not going to do it that way. Where is it? Visibility, hide point. Okay, for me, I've got that hotkey for Shift H. And what it does is, because this is masked, it's going to keep it, and everything that was unmasked is going to hide. Okay. So now we just have this to work on, and we don't need to worry about the rest of the axe. Okay. So now we're going to take our smooth, we're going to smooth down these edges. Okay. You know what, we're going to cheat a little bit and go smooth stronger. If you haven't seen earlier videos that I have this in my setup, you might not, and if you don't, press comma to pull up Spotlight, then go to brushes, and you're going to go to smooth. Where is it? Right here. Open this folder and smooth stronger right there. Okay. The other one I would highly recommend that you have access to easily or readily is the smooth directional. It comes in really handy with hair, and we're probably going to use it on this one too. So I would go ahead and click this one, double click it. Okay, and there it is. So now we have smooth stronger selected. We're going to go over this and just pull this in. Okay, just like that. Okay, and now we're going to use polish H. So you can use regular polish, but because we're doing something that's more hard surface, we're going to go ahead and use H polish right here. Let's smooth the rest of this out. Make sure we get both sides. There you go. Now again, with that stone flint axe that we were looking at earlier, the faces are going to be really small, but because of how small this miniature is going to be, we want to make these faces a little bit bigger. We want to exaggerate them a little bit. So it's going to be easiest if you make your draw size really big. And then going to need to turn this music down a little bit. There we go. Okay. just going to pull in and flatten out these faces, okay? We're just flattening them. And then just alternate between using the alt side of it. And that way it gets these nice smooth. The other thing you can do is go to trim dynamic right down here. So B, T, and then D. And we can use those to get those really strong. Oh. This is where you want that smooth directional. Okay. So we're going to use that. There we go. Oh, okay. So you see how I did this? That's because I didn't have backface masking on. So we're going to have to backtrack. Okay. That's trim dynamic and trim adaptive are extremely strong, and they'll pull from the other side. Let's see if I can show you. So if you're over here on the depth, you can see it's right in the middle of the mesh, and it goes half to either side. You can either adjust the depth, or the fastest way is to turn backface masking on. Okay, that's just going to make it to where what is not seen on the screen in front of you is going to not be affected by the brush. Okay, essentially like you took and put a mask on the backside. Okay, without having to do that. So just to show you. Okay, you saw what happened earlier, right? In fact. Okay, backface masking, we turned it off. We're going over this. Oh, maybe it was the polish that did it. So, polish. Well, now it doesn't want to do it. Anyway. It'll pull from the other side, so I like that backface masking on, especially doing more hard surface stuff. Makes it a lot easier. Okay, so just using trim dynamic to get this, and this point right here is also going to be a pain to print out, even with resin. So I'm going to just use regular smooth and Sculptress. Okay, and just smooth that one piece. But I don't like how it's being pulled that way, so we're going to go there. That looks better. Okay. Now the fun part of doing any kind of edged weapons, now you got to do the opposite side. So that's just letting us know that backface masking is on. So now we'll go through. Now the fun part, as far as it being a flint weapon, it doesn't have to be the bevels. Skip note. The bevels don't have to match. Okay, whereas if we did something like a more traditional dagger, you'd want those bevels to match, otherwise they're going to look really, really strange. But because it's stone, maybe this is the way the stone fractured. Who's to say? So we're just going to keep doing these bevels. Okay. And this one down here. Okay. And we'll just the sculptures off. We're going to smooth these sharpened edges. Okay, so we gotta thicken that spot up with just a smidge. There we go. Okay, and then I don't like this crease right here. we're going to go over so with the gizmo active, we're going to click on this gear, go to remesh by Dynamesh, except it won't let us because everything's in, so Control Shift, need this to be back on select, Control Shift, click off, that brings back our entire model. Okay, so we're going to Control click so that only this is active, the only active part of the tool, and then we're going to remesh by Dynamesh. This puts a binding box around it, and now we're just going to slide that. Okay, see, okay, that's what we had. And now we're just Dynameshing. I think that's enough geometry right there. Click on the gear, accept. Now we're back to our gizmo, and again we can Control click in the space and hide. Okay, so now we're back to this, but the geometry is much better for sculpting this. Okay, so I want to pull this over because I don't like that. That looks better. Okay. Now back to trim dynamic. We're going to, let's size this up. And because Sculptress is grayed out up here, it means that backface masking's on. Because I would want that on if it wasn't. We're just going to go through using trim dynamic. I'm going to make some facets like this was carved from stone. Turn that off. Just go through occasionally and smooth. Beautiful. Okay. And then we're going to do the same on this side. Now for this back side, I want to make sure that I can see the stick portion so that I don't have this go all the way into it, because that's not the design I'm going for. So we'll go through and just do some more dynamics right here. That's looking really cool. Okay. Now I'm going to switch over to H polish. And we're going to go over all this. Okay. Now another thing that's really handy is if you're just trying to get good faces, use smooth peaks and smooth valleys. So I don't like these two spots, so using smooth peaks, it's going to smooth that down. Catch is if it goes to the edge, or if I go to the edge, it's going to smooth that too. So you just need to be aware of it. Not hard to fix with H polish, just holding Alt. But yeah. And I want this right here. Cutting to, yep, I like that. Okay, and then because this is going to be printed, this I want very drastic. Okay. There we go. Now you could just as easily, if you wanted kind of a quick and dirty way of doing it, have this in the middle of your scene and just work in symmetry, it's not going, in my opinion, it's not going to look as much broken from stone as you'll get from not working in symmetry, because replicating to the other side is going to be tricky to get just right. Oh, that is a nice edge. Okay, so right there, I took that and just smoothing it down. You want all your edges to be slightly rounded. It's going to make it much easier paint-wise, especially if the painter, like myself, likes to do edge highlighting. So, do that. But we still want only this. Okay. Oops, I didn't want to. So I still want that ridge to be there. So I'm going to actually use the standard brush, BS W. Okay. And I'm going to build this up just a smidge. And then pinch brush, VPI, pinch that. Okay. That's only because I want that ridge there, just to break up the visual storyline of this. Because that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm telling the story of this axe. Okay. Does it have any chips in it? Is it battle worn? All right. We always talk about the story of people and stuff like that, but there's also the. We're gonna do a pinch right there in a second, FYI. But there's also the story of the weapons and clothing. Like, I just heard this thing about Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, where he wanted the costuming to look like he had patched it himself. That's part of the story. So I think it's important to tell the stories of stuff. Do that. That down, and then remember, when you're doing something like this, we're going to have this cording wrapping through here, so we don't want to spend a ton of time cutting in these faces because it's going to get covered up. So you just want enough to where what isn't covered is going to be seen really well. Okay. Alright, now if we look there, we actually want to thicken this a little bit, so just to be safe, we'll mask that. And then I'm going to use Trim Dynamic. Go right here and drag with Alt, and that'll bring the faces up to there. Smooth that just a little bit. Okay, but I do think that this needs to be thicker. Okay, and that's one of those, I've talked about it for a while now, just from enough 3D printing time, I know that this could be printed, because if you look at the rest of the model, let's just get his body up here. Okay, just with the rest of the model, that is thick enough to print, okay, but it's not going to print really well, and it's going to be delicate. So an easy thing to do is we're just going to thicken this axe, and then we'll take this where the sticks are and kind of flare them a little bit, at least at the base of them, just so it reads right. Okay, so make sure this is all masked. Pour the mask down. Make sure we're on the correct plane. Just kind of pivot into place. Okay, that'll do good. And thicken it. Yeah, it looks good. However, I do not like... I like this curve, but I like it, but I want it to be the axe blade, obviously. And I want this to be part of what's going to rest right here against the hand. So I need to turn the blade. So let's mask that. Yeah, if you ever do this, I mean, it's real easy. Control, Shift, 180. Okay. And it might not rotate on the perfect spot, so you might have to move it like I just did. But it's going to do a nice easy 180, so it's still on the right plane of the weapon. As far as that way was, but I need to tweak this. Okay. And we'll isolate it. So clicking over here on solo. And now let's do those leather wraps. Except I want to bring, just to make sure, because we want this, we need this to be watertight. So just out of my own peace of mind, I'm going to pull this in, as well as make this look like a edge for the wood. So using standard, just go over that, and then we smooth it. I want regular smooth. We are going to go through and give this a little bit of wood texture in a sec. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that now. Now, obviously, this spot and this spot would be split, as far as like someone took the wood and took an axe through it and split the wood. But we don't want to cut all the way through, because then we're going to have a hole and it's going to create a problem. So we're just going to give an indent to make the reference to that. So control, click to keep that masked, and have this unmasked. All we're going to do is have mask lasso. We're going to go up. Just make a nice triangle right there. Okay. Oh, ain't that interesting? So apparently if I hit tab, it makes my toolbars disappear. Never done that before. Okay. So I like that. And we're going to make another one up here. That one's going down too far. But that side's not going down far enough. So, since mask lasso is not getting us in that sweet spot, we're going to manually paint this one in. I guess manually draw it in, whatever way you want to phrase it. Okay. And then control, click off of it. Good. Now, if I start sculpting this without masking this, it's going to, and this, it's going to start pulling it. So with wireframe active, topology, Oh, I use my hotkeys so much. Z modeler. Okay, so BZM. Okay. So used to my hotkeys, I don't think about it half the time as far as what the actual tool's called. So space, mask, island. Don't mask that island. Same thing with up here. And it looks like I missed a spot, which isn't a big deal because we're just going to use the standard brush, but just to cover our bases. And then you're just clicking in these faces to mask it. That's it. Okay. So now we're going to use, let's use the clay brush. There we go. So BCL, and we're going to turn on the sculptures because that is not nearly enough geometry. Either A, you can smooth it, and that'll give some, give enough for it, or you can just use Sculptress. So, if anybody from ZBrush sees this, I am so happy you added Sculptress to ZBrush. I use it on the daily. So now we're going to use standard and just kind of, all we're doing is making, oh, that went way too deep. We're just making an indent, okay? It's going to make it look like that is a cut, especially from when it's printed. And then we'll build it up a little bit on the edge. Just like that. You know what? If we're going to measure, we'll use the damn standard. Yes. And we'll just drag that up just a little bit. Same thing with this one. Drag it. Go around to all of them and do it real quick. Good. Okay. And now we'll just carve these in. Just going to use the standard brush. Now up here, we are going to inflate this section. We're going to do it after, because that gapping is going to be a problem. Whereas ironically on this side it's really good. Go figure. Go here, actually use the inflate. That looks good. Okay, now because of how small this is, using inflate this way, up close it looks nasty. But as far as printing, it's going to work really well. So, not worried about that. Okay. That's better. Okay, and we just got this one. In fact, just another way to do it is you can take this inflate, hold Alt, and just go over it, and that will smush it back. Abort that quick save. Okay. Now with standard active, we're going to mask just this, and now we'll do the like stick texture. Okay. Now, whenever I do something like this, I like to zoom out to where it's roughly the size it's going to be. That way I can see, okay, I'm wasting my time. This is way too small. It's not going to show up. Okay, whereas if I do it from out here, I can see that looks good. And then I do another one. There we go. I went out a little too far. But this gives a good opportunity for, okay, see how it's getting that stepping? I don't like that. So we're going to go to stroke, lazy mouse, 0.01, radius is fine. We might need to turn down the intensity, we'll find out. And then I want to change the alpha, so space, alpha 18. Ever since ZBrush Summit, I have really loved using alpha 18. Okay, yeah, intensity is way too high. So, spacebar, intensity, or drop this down to sub 20, below 20. There we go. I'm just going to make these kind of stick lines. And the biggest reason we want to do that with this one is it's going to make a clear distinction between the bone and the stick. And if you want, this is kind of a happy accent, but it's got these odd shapes in it that break up the silhouette. I kind of like that. Makes it look more organic. Then, after I get the basic idea, I'm just going to go through with damn standard and drag through to kind of kick up those valley parts of it. I want to make sure I drag all the way to the edge. There we go. And I want this to indent a little bit, so I'm going to use the clay buildup. Just going to smooth it a little bit. And back face mask on. Again, if you don't have it hotkeyed and you are wanting to do a lot of 3D printing stuff, I highly recommend you hotkey back face masking. Flatten this down. Good. We need to pull this in. So we're just going to use the move tool. Pull this in. Okay. Because again, we're about to do those rawhide straps to make it look like it's bound in place. Okay. Now this part needs to be thickened up. Because I drag it straight down, it should be flaring over the bone somewhat. So all we're going to do is we're just going to take clay buildup and just build up around this. And again, because it has back face masking on it, it's not going to pull the backside. So we don't need to worry about that. To take inflate and drag it through here a little bit. That looks better. Standard. Just have that clear distinction. Sculptress and just inflate this so it's connecting to the bone. That way we don't get any hidden broken connection points, so that it's going to become watertight really well. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Sculpture's back. Oops. So right there, I moved the, we're going to want to reset the brush. So I moved the focal shift, and rather than fiddle with it to get it back up to negative 5.6, and that's just because I use this brush all the time, I know that it's negative 56. It's faster to reset, and I highly recommend that. If a brush is starting to act kind of weird, like it happens with transpose for me all the time, and I have no idea why, I'll just go over here to the brush, so it's naturally over in this dock, or you can go up here to brush, scroll down, and do it that way. There we go. And we need to thicken up this side too. And then we'll do these. No, we're not going to do that. It's too small. I mean, we're looking at a dot from a brush, so we do not want to do that. In fact, control, invert, hide that bit. So we can come through. We're going to mask out this portion. Make sure we get the opposite side. There we go. Okay, click it back. And sometimes when that happens, you just undo, go back, invert, click back so that I can do this. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, we're almost done with time, so I'll show you how we're going to do the straps real quick. Real simple way. First, let's hide this. We're just going to use curve strap snap. And then turn Sculptors Pro off. We want to go here, holding shift. That will make it a circle. And we're just going to scale. Okay, now if it is doing this, okay, it's maintaining a really good thickness all the way around, but it's not helping because it's causing this problem with this gapping, because we need it to go around this area, but we need to go in. So what you can do, first I'm going to clear this, clear the mask, and then with Z modeler, instead of mask island, mask poly loop, and it will only mask that outside loop. So now, if I have it right in the middle, and I scale it up, it's going to have the inside bits in place. Okay, so I mean we're out. Okay, so that's our bottom one. Now we're just going to make a quick X. So all we need to do is clear that. R, click, invert. Okay, so it thinks I clicked on the stick instead. So we want to go all the way to the edge, just so it's clear. And all that we do is we control drag, that duplicates it. And we're going to do this. Scale it up. Bring it in a little bit. And we're just getting the basic idea, because we're going to take the move tool and the snake hook and pull it into place so it goes around each of these curves. So this is just placeholders. So then we'll control click, pivot this one, so we get that nice cross section. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we got it down there. And now really quick to do the top one is same thing we just did, just reversed. And now we have both of the cross sections that we need for this top. So we're just going to take it, control, drag, make sure we're in the middle, invert it. In fact, we'll do shift. And we're just reading that until we get to 180. And then we just position this. Okay. So now we clear that, and we're going to mask island, invert. And we're just going to manually put this into place where we want it. So once it's close to where we want it, make sure that it's interacting with the rest of the model. We'll do that with the rest, and then we're going to only do the outside bits. So do the same thing with this, but we're not there yet. So mask island. Mask island, there we go. Move that to there. And again, you can totally just draw out these curve loops one by one if you want. Didn't feel like taking the time today. Ooh. Although, I just had a really fun idea. At least I think it's a fun one. So this thing would go around here, back up, over this. So I need this axe to move back a little bit. Okay. To right there. And you know what? I want this angle changed. Yeah, I like that. that. Okay. Other one like that. And then I want to double this one. And then make it to where it's, come on, control drag and going over. Except I don't like how it's making it thicker, because that's the trick. If you scale it, it's going to scale in all dimensions, right? So it's going to change the thickness, and it's supposed to be all the same kind of strap, so you have to watch out for that. So Alt, drag, make it wide. Okay. So I'll show you this last part real quick, because time is pretty much up. And just going to show you quickly how I would just kind of put each of these into place. So starting with this one, mask it. Oh, we're actually going to use hold spacebar, mask poly loop. Okay. And then using the move tool, we're just going to pull it out to where it goes around the shapes that we need. Okay. There we go. Make sure it's good and visible. The same thing with this one. And it could be a lot easier to use Move Infinite, so don't be afraid to use that brush. And we're going to have this one go over this. So I want to make sure that we pull it out enough. But that's where it's pulled out too far, so I'll bring that bit in. Cool. And then we're going to do this one. Scale that in. Okay, so we needed to go under this one, so we're just gonna manually manipulate that. And then because we have this really weird spot here, we're gonna actually mask the whole island portion. It's right here, mask island, click. And we're gonna do Move Infinite. It's looking really nice. There we go. But I need it to go over this back side. So that's where we'll do... we'll actually use the snake hook. Make sure whenever you got the snake hook, Sculptures is off, because it will tweak things quick. But for something like this, it's actually handy how quickly it will manipulate and move stuff. And then just check to where thickness looks great. And it does. Okay, so over that one, under this one. And we're actually going to have this go over this. So, go here, poly loop. I'm going to pull this in a little bit right there. And then we're going to mask this. Wife's teasing me. Alright. And like that. And you kind of fiddle with it until it gets where you want. Okay. So I'll end up doing the same thing on top. Like I said, pretty much out of time. And then when it's all said and done, I want this geometry to be way higher, so all I need to do, so after everything's been manipulated in place, clear the mask, control click just so it's not wanting to, sometimes it's really finicky clicking on the straps. Let's do that, and then you can either do that geometry through the gizmo, or control divide a couple times, control D, and then this is my favorite way to do it. Under deformation, go to polish features and just slide it over. There you have it. So basic way and just one method of making a stone axe for our frog guy. Pull up the look of them all, kind of see how it's all coming together. And now he'll have his axe, and I'll be able to get it into, make it into an official handle. Probably curl this back just a little bit, but yeah, I think it's coming along good. And so this will be about 40 millimeters, so roughly that big. Okay, so pretty small. Yeah, well, thanks for joining, and hopefully you got something from it. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to add them, and I'll catch you on the next time. In the meantime, get out there,